You think you've seen it all when it comes to great leaders and their unexpected actions, but this story will challenge your beliefs. Donald Trump, often associated with controversial decisions and an impenetrable demeanor, made a move that left the world in shock, and it all started with a girl holding a sign by the side of the road. Picture the contrast. A political figure surrounded by security, luxury, and power, stopping amidst urban chaos to answer the plea of an unknown child. His decision not only made headlines, but triggered a chain of events that changed lives in a way no one could have predicted. What compels someone like Trump to step out of his armored motorcade and enter a forgotten neighborhood to hear the cry of a family in despair? More importantly, how did this turn into something so monumental that it mobilized an entire nation? In this story, you will discover how a simple act of empathy had repercussions that challenged biases and reignited debates about social justice. Get ready to be surprised, moved, and perhaps inspired like never before. So, what really happened? Stay until the end to understand how this unlikely encounter changed everything, and how you can draw incredible lessons from this journey. Amid the usual chaos of New York City streets, an unexpected detail caught the attention of a man known for his commanding presence and ever-present security. Donald Trump, in his luxurious motorcade, was about to cross one of the city's busiest avenues when something made him stop. A small simple sign waved in the fragile hands of a young girl. On it, words written in childish handwriting begged for help. "Please help my mom. She's sick." The contrast was striking. While the luxurious cars gleamed under the city lights, Lily, a 10-year-old girl, stood there barefoot, wearing clothes that had seen better days. Her eyes sparkled with a mix of hope and despair, a kind of gaze few dare to meet. But Trump, with his sharp curiosity and unpredictable instincts, ordered the motorcade to halt. The crowd around was stunned. Who could imagine that the man frequently portrayed as cold and calculating would step out of his motorcade to answer a child's plea? The security hesitated, but he was firm. "I need to see this for myself," he reportedly said as he opened the door of his Cadillac One, famously known as the Beast. Approaching Lily, Trump observed her closely as she clutched the sign tightly, as if the weight of her family rested on that piece of cardboard. He knelt, leveling his height with the girl's, and asked in a voice that, to everyone's surprise, sounded more gentle than commanding, "What's going on, little one?" Her response was as simple as it was devastating. "My mom needs medicine, but I can't help her alone." The innocence of those words carried the burden of a responsibility far greater than any child should bear. And it was there, in that moment, that something shifted. As Trump remained kneeling before Lily, the young girl began to share her story. Her voice, hesitant at first, soon gained strength, as if she had never before had the chance to truly be heard. She explained that her father had been a soldier who lost his life on a mission overseas. Since then, her family's life had never been the same. Her mother, once full of energy, was now battling an illness that seemed to drain her strength with each passing day. With each word, Trump appeared to absorb the weight of that reality. Lily described how her father's absence left not just a void in their home, but also in the community where they lived. A neighborhood once full of life was now steeped in decay. The smell of mold, the sight of peeling walls, and the sound of creaking doors were part of her daily existence. "I tried asking for help, but no one listened," Lily said, lowering her gaze as though she was used to being ignored. Her innocence contrasted with the resilience that seemed to emerge as she recounted nights spent caring for her mother, when all she wanted was to be a normal child like any other. Trump, known for his quick responses and incisive remarks, remained silent for a few moments. It was as though he was mentally replaying every decision that had brought him to that point, every policy or action that might have influenced the lives of people like Lily and her mother. And then, something unexpected happened. He asked where Lily's house was. The air seemed to freeze for a moment. No one, not even his security team, had anticipated this, but there was something in that girl's story that made him act differently. Without another word, he signaled that it was time to move. This time not to his original destination, but to see Lily's home, or what was left of it. The Cadillac One, known for its impenetrable armor and reputation as a fortress on wheels, glided through the narrow, dimly lit streets of the neighborhood where Lily lived. For the locals, the sight of such a luxurious car was as unexpected as a shooting star in a dark sky. Trump, however, seemed oblivious to the commotion he was causing. His attention was fully fixed on the small guide sitting beside him, whose expression mixed excitement with nervousness. When they finally arrived, Lily pointed to a small house with faded walls and a door that seemed on the verge of collapse. It was the portrait of an invisible struggle for many but overwhelmingly real for those who lived there. Against all recommendations from his security team, Trump stepped out of the car, accompanied only by Lily. Suspicious gazes from neighbors followed his every move, while whispers spread like wildfire. Upon entering the house, Trump was met with an environment that spoke louder than any words. The smell of medication mixed with mold, worn-out furniture, and a pile of overdue bills on a barely stable table told a story of daily battles and silent losses. In the back room, he found Lily's mother lying in a simple bed, her sunken eyes and pale skin revealing the severity of her condition. "Why has no one done anything for them?" he muttered, more to himself than to anyone else. For the first time, the man often associated with impersonal and calculated decisions seemed genuinely moved. Lily's mother tried to sit up but was too weak. With a gesture that disarmed even the most skeptical members of his team, Trump approached her, gently holding her hand and saying, "You are not alone." What happened next caught everyone off guard. Trump announced right then and there that he would do something to change not only the reality of that family, but also the lives of others facing similar struggles. It was a moment that mixed perplexity with hope, leaving everyone wondering, what would he actually do? The news of Trump's visit to Lily's small, forgotten neighborhood spread like wildfire. Social media buzzed with images and accounts of that unexpected moment, while the local residents, who had long resigned themselves to indifference, began to see a glimmer of hope. It was as if a spotlight had illuminated the shadows they lived in, bringing attention to problems that had been ignored for far too long. But the most tangible change came the very next day. Trucks arrived in the neighborhood, bringing food, medicine, and clothing, all organized under Trump's direct orders. The activity of people unloading boxes and distributing humanitarian aid brought a different energy to the area. Children ran through the streets laughing, their joy breaking years of heavy silence, while adults exchanged incredulous looks, struggling to believe that this was really happening. Among the families receiving supplies were many with stories similar to Lily's. They were widows of war veterans, parents struggling to raise children in poverty, and grandparents taking care of abandoned grandchildren. Trump, often recognized for his rigid stance, listened to these people with an unusual level of attention, recognizing in each story the failures of a system he himself had once defended. Lily's house became a symbol of renewal for the neighborhood. The once forgotten place was now a hub of meetings and discussions on how to rebuild the community. In one of his most heartfelt declarations, Trump promised that Lily's case and her mother's plight would mark the beginning of a broader transformation. "We cannot abandon those who have given so much for our country," he declared with a voice carrying a determination rarely seen before. Still, there was a lingering unease. While the immediate actions brought relief, many wondered whether the impact would be lasting. Had Trump truly started something that could extend beyond this neighborhood? The questions hung in the air, like a challenge waiting to be answered. The impact of that visit did not remain confined to Lily's small neighborhood. Within days, the encounter made headlines in major newspapers and dominated television programs. Images of Trump holding Lily's mother's hand and walking through the streets of the neighborhood went viral, sparking a wave of reactions across the country. For many, it was hard to believe that the man known for his pragmatic and often controversial decisions was leading such an emotionally charged initiative. Inspired by the public's response, Trump announced the creation of a national campaign called Hope for Heroes. The goal was clear: to provide direct support to the families of veterans struggling with financial, health, and housing issues. The initiative quickly gained traction among business leaders, celebrities, and millions of ordinary citizens who saw the campaign as an opportunity to honor those who had sacrificed so much for the country. The transformation was astounding. Support centers sprang up in various cities, offering everything from medical care to professional reintegration assistance. Heartfelt stories began to emerge, showing how lives were being changed by an action that started with a girl holding a sign on a street corner. Trump, in speeches that moved even his harshest critics, emphasized that this was not about charity but about justice. However, like any large-scale movement, Hope for Heroes faced challenges. There were criticisms about the campaign's sustainability and questions about Trump's political motivations. Nevertheless, the positive impact was undeniable. For every skeptical voice, there were dozens of stories of families who had found a fresh start, thanks to the campaign. And so, what began as a chance encounter turned into a movement that defied expectations and reignited debates about how American society treats its heroes. But one question remained: Was this Trump's ultimate moment of redemption, or just the first step in a much larger journey? And now, after following every detail of this story, I ask you, how many times have we ignored small cries for help around us? This story serves as a powerful reminder that, often, it's the simplest gestures that have the greatest impact. Trump, a man accustomed to grand decisions, showed that true change begins when we listen and act, even when the plea comes from someone with nothing to offer but their own courage. What would you have done in his place? Would you have paused your routine to hear Lily's story? Or would you have moved on as so many others had before? Reflect on that. Perhaps the world needs more moments like this, where empathy overcomes fear and transforms lives. If you believe in the power of stories that inspire and touch the heart, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications so you won't miss a single update. Here, every story is a lesson, an invitation to see the world in a different light. And remember, together, we can turn small actions into great changes. Share your thoughts on what moved you most in this story. We're curious to know how it inspired you and what you think about it.